Hi there. Welcome to a new episode of An Ordinary Review with PJ. This is going to be my last episode for the year 2020, and what a year it has been. I was reading this Time magazine and it says 2020 has been the worst year ever. And it made me think that yes, this year has been a different year. It has been an unthinkable year. A year that none of us ever imagined that we will get to see in our lives. Many are calling it as the Black Swan event, an event that happens rarely, but whenever it happens, it can cause a profound impact on everyone. And the impact is not only felt when the event happens, but can be felt for a long time after the event has passed by. And perhaps this year 2020 is going to be like that kind of a year, which will not only impact us as we go through this pandemic, but it's going to lead and cause a lasting impact on everything that we will see into the future. So it's also a future shock. It is basically telling us that unless we change ourselves and improve our lifestyles, improve our focus towards taking care of the planet, we could be in more troubling times to come. So it's in our collective interest that we learn from this year and improve our lives and that of our planet going forward. So while there has been much negative about the year, there have been a few positives as well. Namely, families got to spend a lot of time with each other. I think they got to bond like never before. Travel times were reduced to zero, which brought a lot of time for everyone to not only bond with family, but indulge into creativity, into doing new things, challenging yourself, or rediscovering hobbies that we felt we had forgotten about. It was also a year where the nature took care of itself for the time that we were in lockdown. The air got cleaner, the water got cleaner, and we just loved the earth returning back to itself of the damage that we have caused on it for so long. So there were a few positives, and like many others, I also took positive out of this year to start something that I had always been planning for a long time, which is to start my own podcast channel, the channel that you are now seeing me on, and you have been appreciating the reviews that I bring on this channel. I have always been fond of movies, web series, books, podcast. So I thought, why not share my reviews of the books that I am reading, the movies that I'm seeing, the web series that I'm enjoying with all of you, and perhaps help you decide to watch something interesting or read something interesting in the future. So this episode, I thought I'll do something special for you as we end the year. In this episode, I'm going to talk about 5 series that I enjoyed immensely through the year. And that's why I'm calling this as my binge list for the year. These are the series that I truly enjoyed binge watching, and they were fascinating. Not all of them have been reviewed by me on this channel, because some of them I had seen much before I had started my channel. So some of them you'll find as new, and you can check them out if you like my review of them, very brief review of them as part of this binge list. And the others are already there on my channel. You can go through them and decide. So here we go. The top 5 series that I immensely enjoyed in the year 2020 are as follows. So the first series I'm going to talk about is a series called You. It has 2 seasons and it's available on Netflix. It's a psychological thriller and a very interesting one. So the story of the series is something like this. There is this bookstore keeper who is looking for love, and he has had a troubled childhood. And then one fine day, there is a young book writer who visits his shop, and he gets smitten by her. And now he's obsessed. He wants to love her and he wants to make her love him. And he would go to any length to make sure that happens. So much so that if there's any obstacle that comes in between him loving her, he would eliminate that. So it has a very dark, sinister side to it, and at the same time, there is this feeling of love that he wants to have for this book writer and wants her to reciprocate for him. Very interesting, very engrossing. I think something that you would enjoy watching if you're looking for a good psychological thriller. And season 2 gets a little more twisty. In season 2, he falls in love with another lady, but this time she's a match for him. She's as much a psychopath as he is, and that makes the story all the more twisty and engrossing. In fact, at a point in time, it almost leads to reversal of roles. So I would say, if you're looking for a good psychological thriller, a series that I immensely enjoyed binge watching in the year 2020, it's called You on Netflix. The series called For All Mankind, and it's available on Apple TV Plus. It's an interesting series, it's an interesting take. It's actually a take on the moon missions that America took on in their race towards space domination with the Soviet Union in the 1960s. We all know how President Kennedy challenged NASA to put the man on moon, to beat the Soviets, who had actually beaten them in putting a man in space. So the premise of this series is actually on that, but with a different take. The series starts off with a possibility that what could have happened if Soviets had won the race to the moon. If Soviets would have been successful in placing the man on the moon before the Americans, how would that race been? So it's a different take, a very interesting one. It shows how NASA would have been under pressure all along to catch up to the Soviets. And it is done very nicely. It's an they have mixed the actuals like Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and all the other folks who were involved in the moon missions with some fictitious characters and made the entire timeline of the series very, very interesting. It's if you love space travel, if you are fond of reading about and knowing about the moon missions and want to take a look at a different take on what would have happened, a what if kind of a series, then this is a good one. It's called For All Mankind and it's available on Apple TV Plus. The third series that I enjoyed immensely is a series called Chernobyl. It's available on Disney Hotstar, and it's about the nuclear disaster that happened in April of 1986 in the then Soviet Union and now Ukraine. The series actually takes you to the time when the disaster happened, how it happened, what led to it, and the aftermath of the disaster. It also talks about how Soviet Union was so fearful about their reputation that they actually hid the gory details of the disaster from the world. It also shows how the Soviet scientists knew about a fault in the safety mechanism of the reactor, but never took care of it, which ultimately led to this nuclear disaster. The series also shows how ordinary people, the Soviet scientists, the army folks, became heroes to save humanity at that time. How the army was called in, and at the cost of their lives, they actually vacated Chernobyl town and all the other nearby villages of not only all human life, but also of animals. And in fact, there is a very, very disturbing episode of how they had to eliminate all the animals, every animal that is there in that locality, so that it does not spread radioactivity. And how the Soviet army folks, feeling remorseful about what they're going to do, but still had to follow orders, go about killing all the dogs and the cats and all the other animals that they see in Chernobyl and nearby villages. Very engrossing watch. If you're interested to know what happened in Chernobyl, then this is a series that you need to check out. And if you're interested in podcasts, there's a very interesting podcast on the making of Chernobyl, where they talk about how they actually went to Chernobyl to shoot the series and how it has, even now, it is radioactive, but people can go in there with all the safety gear and experience the nuclear reactor. It's become some kind of a tourist spot as well. So if you're interested, do go check it out, Chernobyl on Disney Hotstar. The fourth series that I loved immensely and I enjoyed binge watching is Scam 1992. It's on the Harshad Mehta Scam. It's available on Sony Live and a fabulous series. A series that I thoroughly enjoyed from episode 1 till the end of the series. Very engrossing with lovely performances and great music. I've already reviewed it. It's available on episode 19 of An Ordinary Review with PJ. So do check out my reviews of Scam 1992 if you have not done so already. And the fifth and the last series of this binge list of the year 2020 that I enjoyed immensely is Mirzapore. Now I was late to watch this series. Many had seen season 1 already. I got to check season 1 when season 2 got released. And I must say, I got hooked onto it. So much so that I watched both the seasons back to back, binge watched them late into the night. It was fun watching the series. It is a fabulous series with fantastic music and performances. And I have reviewed it for you. You can check out episode 24 of An Ordinary Review with PJ to get my views on Mirzapore, both the seasons. It's available on Amazon Prime. So there you have it, my binge list for the year 2020, a year that Time magazine is calling the worst year ever. I must say it was a different year, and having been confined to home with not much to do apart from work, I ended up watching a lot of interesting web series and movies. Got to read some interesting books, and also with the heightened interest in fitness, as I walked around and jogged around, I listened to some very interesting podcasts, and I intend to bring those podcast reviews to you in the coming year. So as we wind down 2020 and look forward with a lot of hope for 2021, wishing all of you a very happy new year, a year that brings good health and happiness to all of you. And I also hope that with the vaccines around the corner and the efficacy of the vaccines giving encouraging news, our lives do come back to normal in the coming year. We don't want everything to be normal as what it was before 2020. There were some good things that happened this year, and I hope the normal life returns, but with a difference. We missed a few things dearly, and I hope that's what comes back to us in the coming year. So thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and sharing and appreciating my reviews. I started this in August and never imagined that it would be appreciated so much by friends and family. I'm truly humbled and encouraged by the response that all of you have given me, and it also encourages me to bring more interesting reviews for all of you in the coming year. And I look forward to not only bringing movies and web series, but even books and podcasts in the coming year. So if you like my reviews, goes without saying, please share it with your friends and family, ask them to subscribe, and I hope they like it too. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to everyone. Bye-bye.